how to avoid a forced breakout in the stock market. And this is pretty much what we covered in this very video, right? So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end if you want to know how to actually trade a breakout, what to avoid, what are things not to do, what are the things to do. We will even look at some case studies as well. Hey guys, Joey here, optimizer trader in Philips Securities, and in today's video we're talking about a breakout, right? How do we avoid a false breakout? So when I first started trading many years, more than 10 years back, whenever we see like a breakout or if like prices were to push higher and it goes up and up, and more often than not we like to chase because you don't want to miss out, right? You don't want to it just goes up and then you just sit there and do nothing, and then the price just keeps on up, and you what we call FOMO, fear of missing out, and then you chase. And what happens is the price drop, right? So that's pretty much like a breakout move. Of course, there are several ways to do it, things not to do, all right? And we've made like several mistakes as well in the past, and we just led to like losses, right? And in this video, we'll cover some things not to do in terms of a breakout. Of course, what happens is, people like to say, whether is it like a fake breakout, whether is it a true breakout, a false breakout. So in general, right, there is no such thing as like 100% or maybe even a 99% move that this breakout is true, it's not false, or it's false. There's no such thing. But what we can do is that based on what we see on the charts, we can tell if this breakout will actually continue. In terms of the upwards direction if you're buying, or maybe in the downward direction if you're shorting. All right. So there's no 100%, but there's several things we can look at that can allow us to make a higher probability, a higher reward to risk trade, and that's exactly what will be covered, right? So yes, you're gonna find about this breakout, right? What to avoid. Make sure you smash the subscribe button right now, right? Give me a like, hit the like button as well. That will definitely help out the channel, algorithm and all that, and really appreciate you doing that. All right, have you done that? All right, good, let's go. Right, so make sure you smash the subscribe button so you not miss out any videos like this, right? So let's go on to what will be covered today. All right, so what is a breakout in the stock market? What does it even mean? What do you mean by breakout, right? So we'll talk about that in a bit, right? So this is what we covered, what's a breakout. And next one will be avoid getting into stocks that has seen like a parabolic rise. Next, we'll look at how to trade breakouts that are in the same direction as a trend. So we want to determine the trend, all right, and after we want to trade a breakout that is in the same direction as a trend rather than like against the trend. So that will greatly increase our odds of winning as well if we are in the same direction as trend. All right, so we'll cover that in a bit. All right, so let me just go through all the points here. And next one will be how to trade breakout that has seen like a healthy consolidation. Pretty much the right way to trade a breakout, when to get in, all right, when not to rush to get in because it might be a bit too late. We might see a fall in prices. These are pretty much what will be covered in this very video. We'll go through it step by step again, all right, but make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. We look at some case studies as well, all right, before we end. All right, so let's dive into it right now. Okay, so what is a breakout in the stock market? Let's go on to the first point, right? So what is a breakout? Very simple. Breakout would just means prices has been trading like below a resistance level, right? You've been trading below a resistance level for quite a while. It could be a few weeks, a few months. And a resistance is whereby prices, if you were to hit, it comes back down, it hits, comes back down. So it's like a price level whereby there are a lot of selling going on, right? And sellers are pretty much taking profit over there. Each time it rebounds, it just comes back down. So that's like a resistance, right? And a breakout would be if it will to break that resistance level. Just very simple, right? If you to break that resistance level, it could be like the $1, the $5, a price level whereby there would just a lot of selling, and it just keeps on coming down over the past few years, a few months, right? And many times they have touched it and just came back down. So when it breaks that level, all right, it shows that sellers are pretty much like losing the battle, all right? Buyers are kind of like gaining control. They have taken out all the sellers, and finally we have like cleared that level, and then it's like free, right? It's like free to go, right? It's like the new phase up again, right? So that is pretty much what we are seeing like a breakout. Maybe let me just go to explain it to you by just drawing it for you right here. So this is like breakdown, so it can be like a resistance level right here, all right, and it goes up, down, and eventually it just comes down again, and finally you can see that it just came down, and when it breaks that level, boom, right, it starts to break out here, right here. That is what we call like a breakout, right? That's what we call like a breakout, whereby there would be a lot of buying momentum if we can hold above like this level right here, because this level would now be a support. We might see a little bit of a retracement back down, but as long as we hold above this like new resistance level, that is where the kind of like the upside can continue, right? So that is pretty much what we call a breakdown, pretty much like where we see prices breaking a very, very strong resistance level, whereby there could potentially be a bit more upside. So one of the most common pattern would be like a sideways consolidation, as I mentioned, all right, whereby it kind of like consolidates for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, it touches many times, all right, and assuming this is like in an uptrend as well, that would be better, all right, in terms of increasing our odds of winning if we were to take a long position. So this is like a sideways consolidation, and ultimately, all right, we consolidate here, up, down, and based on this resistance level, eventually we kind of like break that resistance level, and that's where a breakout can happen. So that's pretty much like the standard one, the healthy consolidation one, all right. And there would be another one. Let me just go to remove this right here. And this is like another kind of a breakout, which I would say would be better one. This is also what people call like an ascending triangle pattern right here. So it's like ascending triangle pattern. We have prices moving up and down, up, down, up, down. All right here. And eventually you can see that, this is like the resistance level. So each time we near it comes down, comes down, comes down. All right. And wow, it is like approaching that resistance level. You can see when it comes down, or when it comes down, it doesn't go down like to like the previous low, right? It just went down a little bit, and buyers came back to kind of like support it and support that level, all right? So then it started to rebound back up. Same thing, went up, came back down again. But as it comes down, you can see buyers came back higher at higher price level to support it and push it back up. So that's a good sign of like a good uptrend as well, whereby buyers are prepared to buy at higher prices, right, as it consolidates slowly higher. All right, of course we're still below this resistance level, right, but as long as we see this, right, in terms of like higher lows, it shows that buyers are prepared to buy at higher prices, whereby there's a good chance that when it breaks out, right, at this resistance level, there's a good chance that it can push higher. So I would say that this would be probably a better breakout than the one that's just like horizontal, two horizontal lines. There's just a sideways consolidation. These would be much better as well, all right, because you can see it, pretty much like a very, very good uptrend, and buyers coming in to support prices even at higher prices. And of course, eventually it consolidates and boom, right, it breaks out right here, and that is where we can see more upside. So this is pretty much a different kind of patterns for breakout, but the point is, a breakout is when it will to break a certain resistance level that just touched many times and came back down, and when it breaks that level in pretty good volume as well, which is what we look at as well, that is where there is potentially more upside that can happen. Okay, so we'll look at a few case studies in a bit, but let me just move on to point number 2. Avoid getting into a stock that has seen a parabolic rise, right? So what do you mean by parabolic rise, right? So basically, as I say, when we see a breakout, we want to see like the two patterns I talked about in terms of it like consolidating, up, down, and it breaks that resistance level. Of course, it would be better if it's an uptrend, all right? That would be good, all right? And also an ascending triangle and an uptrend, that would be good as well. But in many times, we can also spot what we call like a stock, after breaking out, all right, and it continues to move higher. Some people call that a breakout as well, because it continues to break the resistance, like a temporary resistance, that it moves higher. All right, and it can be quite dangerous if you are thinking about getting in it could be right at the top rather than getting in as it were to happen. All right, so what is a parabolic rise? So for example, let's say a stock has like consolidated and a little bit, and then it breaks up, and then it starts to push up, down a bit, up, and down a little bit, up, down a little bit, up, and it starts to move up and up and up, right? So this is what we call like a parabolic rise, whereby there is no clear support as it moves up, right? It just kind of like retrace back down a little bit, and it starts just moving up and up and up. So that can be quite dangerous if you are trying to catch stocks like this, because it's just moving up, all right? And if it were to any negative news or anything like come back, it can actually just tank down quite fast, right? Because there's no support that has been formed, right? What we want to see is we want to see a healthy consolidation right here. So for example, right here, if it goes up, it starts like consolidating. If it goes up here, all right, it starts consolidating as well. So as it consolidates higher, all right, and that's where new support is being found, right? New support is being found. So if we were to retrace back down, it can actually kind of like pull back to like the next support level that's been found, and then before attempting to push higher again. But if it's just moving up and up and up, it can be really dangerous because the supports are not being found along the way up. There's no consolidation as we move up, right? It's not healthy. All right, so those are pretty much stocks that you don't want to kind of like chase, right? When you see stocks like this that just move up and up every single day. I mean, if you really want to chase that breakout move, all right, then you want to make sure you have steps to protect your profits. Very, very strong stop loss, get out levels, whereby if it like just to retrace back down, you get out, all right, and just get out and lock in whatever profits you have, right? So that is if you want to chase stocks that has seen a parabolic rise, that has seen like a breakout happen, but it just keeps on moving up and up and up, right? So that is a parabolic stock. So look at stocks like that again later in the case study to see if we can spot any of this and what could potentially happen if you actually get in right at the top if you chase. Okay, next, how to trade a breakout that are in the same direction as the trend, right? So for those of you who are new, right, basically a trend is where it could be an uptrend, it could be a downtrend, it could be a sideways trend, right? So we want to kind of like be in the same direction as a trend when we are buying. So when we're buying, we're going to see like it's an uptrending stock. That means prices are pretty much moving generally up in the longer term. Or of course, we look at things like the moving averages later. We look at some case studies as well, whereby it's an uptrend. So we look at the moving averages. We can draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line as well, whereby prices is like kind of like forming higher lows. All right, and there's a good uptrend. So we can think about buying. All right, in terms of taking positions in an uptrend, in terms of a breakout trade, that would greatly increase our odds of winning, rather than even if it could be a downtrend. All right, it could be a downtrend, and if it breaks out upwards, my prices might actually go up a little bit, but because you are like against the trend, so it might not be a good thing, all right? Because it could actually just rise a little bit, and then it's like a downtrend. Sellers can come back and push prices back down. So in terms of the upside reward, there might not be a lot. But if it is in an uptrend, all right, and prices have been going up, very gently, of course, not like a parabolic move that I talk about. We're seeing like a very, very healthy consolidation. It consolidates for a while, touches that resistance, comes back down, but very, very strong uptrend in terms of the indicators, and we do see like a break of that resistance level, and that's where there's a higher chance of it going higher in the same direction as the trend as well. All right, next one would be how to trade breakout that's seen a healthy consolidation. So what is a healthy consolidation? So as I say, right, we want to see stock like not just move up every single day, that like a parabolic move. We want to see it like kind of consolidates higher. So that means it moves up, all right, kind of like seeing a little bit of pullback, move up, a little bit of pullback, move up, a little bit of pullback, consolidate for a few months, a few weeks, and it starts to hit higher. So that's what we call like a healthy consolidation. In fact, we can go ahead to draw like this resistance line here as we consolidate, right here as well. So you can see a couple of resistance line, all right here. So it could be a level whereby this like a resistance line, it kind of touches, went up, it breaks, and this resistance kind of like became like a little bit of a support here. So that's good, because as it breaks out higher, we might see a little bit of a pullback, and that's healthy as well, because we see a pullback and it kind of like hits back down to that same resistance turn support level. All right, that's a good sign whereby buyers might potentially come in to bargain hunt again, and that's where you can also think about like loading up to get in again. All right, and then you can see it consolidate. So right now you can see it's very simple, but it just comes down a little bit and then breaks again. But it might actually consolidate here for a few months. It might kind of like touch this resistance, a few times, like what I say, be forming before kind of like breaking higher as well. All right, but what we want to see is we want to see a healthy consolidation whereby it breaks, it pushes up a little bit, it consolidates, and find a new higher support level. You can touch a few times the resistance like what we see here, and eventually attempts to break that resistance gain in an uptrend for prices to push higher. That would be healthier. That would be healthy. That's what we call a healthy uptrend. And then that's where it would be a much better position to take like a breakout trade if it were to break that resistance, rather than prices just pushing higher every single day and you're just trying to catch the highs. Okay guys, so this is pretty much like the 4 points that I would like to talk about when we dive into the case study. So just take note, all right, what is a breakout? We look at it, how to avoid stocks that's seen a parabolic rise. We look at some case studies that have shown stocks like that, and what will happen if you actually kind of like chase it and buy right at the top. All right, and also like how to trade breakout that are in the same direction as trend. We look at the trend as well. And also next one will be how to trade breakout that has seen like a healthy consolidation, right? So yes guys, if you like what you've seen so far, before we even dive into the case study, make sure you smash the subscribe button. All right, thank you so much for doing that, so you do not miss out on videos like this whereby we kind of like add value and share content. And also hit the like button. That will definitely help out this channel, right? So let's dive into the chart right now. Okay, so let's take a look at this stock called Cloudflare as well to see if there were any breakout moves over the past 1-2 years. All right, you can see that it was somewhere around 2021. All right, we were seeing some pretty good healthy consolidation from about that 60 to 100. So it was like pretty much consolidating sideways, a very, very gentle uptrend, I would say. All right, and there was some support being found. You can see somewhere around the $60 to $70. So that was where it could potentially be a good level to kind of like catch kind of like on dips, the rebound, or in an uptrend. I would say a little bit more aggressive than a breakout. But let's see if that breakout move actually happened. You can see we kind of like approach this level right here around the 100. So as I say, psychological level right here about 100, we give a little bit more weight to it. So we broke this like 100 level. You can see we kind of like hit it there, we came down, and it didn't really test it a lot of times, right? It didn't really test it a lot of times. Preferably we could see it like move up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Like what we have drawn in terms of the diagram I've shown you. But many times it would not be the case. It might just touch about 2 times, or maybe 3, or maybe sometimes it just nears that resistance and comes back down. All right, and that's how it works in stock market, right? It doesn't just play out so nicely like what we draw in the diagram, but we can kind of like get a gauge whereby it was pretty much consolidating below this like 90 to 100. And eventually we broke this 100. So you can see when we broke this 100, it could be a good breakout move as well. You can see we actually held above for a few days, went up a little bit to like about 110, we came back down. So that is a good move. That is a good move because as we kind of like retrace lower, you can see this kind of like resistance became the support level. It became like a support level, whereby it could be a good opportunity to get in again. Not only that, but the thing is that we kind of like affirms that this breakout is actually not really a bad one, because it kind of like pushed higher and we retraced back down and we still held above this new support level. All right, of course we didn't really like break out and just went up. We kind of like just went up a little bit and then we came back down, but because we retraced back down only back to this higher support level, we didn't like go back down below the 100. So that's a good sign whereby the uptrend still looks good. All right, and it could be a good opportunity to get in again, right? So it's healthy, right? It's healthy whereby we did see a little bit of consolidation, right, from 100 to about 110. You can see, and eventually, yes, another breakout move here as well. All right, so we consolidate here, we kind of broke out that level here as well, about 110, and you can see that's where the upside slowly started to happen again, all the way up to maybe about what, like 130, 145, like 20% upside, and you can see that that's where you can take some profit as well, as it were to push higher, right, protect the profits. And we did sold off, right, and went back to this support level around the 110, around here. Look at this, around 110, and saw a little bit of a bullish candle and started to kind of like rebound back up. Look at this, right? So this is what I call like a parabolic move, right? So as it kind of like rebounds back up, right here at this point in time, I would say it's still okay. So as we approach this like 140, right? So this was a little bit of a resistance level. You can see it was the resistance, and it broke this like 135, 140. Quite a good breakout move actually, right? So if you can kind of call it here as a breakout, all right, let's take a look at the volume on these 2 days. You can see, probably more than one time, all right, preferably a bit higher. Look at this strong volume as it moves higher, all right. But if the volume is strong on like these 2 days, that's a good thing, right? But if we were to like push up, and you see it like maybe somewhere around here, then you can see there's quite a parabolic move as well. You can see it just moved up and up and up, and like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 6 days in a row, it just pushes up and up, forming higher highs. All right, so not really healthy. As I say, we want to see a little bit of consolidation. So yes, indeed, it managed to consolidate a little bit, all right, and then consolidate a bit, and then went up, and we hit it to some resistance about the 220. All right, so that could be a good level whereby because of this huge rise by more than, I would say, look at this right here, as it break that level all the way by more than like 60, 80% in a couple of like a month or two. All right, it could actually be a good opportunity to make sure you protect your profits or get out at those resistance level. All right, so that is like this is like Cloudflare. I mean, right over here is quite a good, rise, but quite a parabolic move as well. So you definitely don't want to chase it around here or around here. If you do, then make sure you have a plan in case you were to retrace back down. So you can see that we kind of like saw some consolidation, and unfortunately you can see this support at about 180 kind of like broken down. It broke this support at 180, and that's where this selling actually kind of like began all the way down to here. All right, and now we're like 93, which is actually below even the $100. So as I say, 100 was like a psychological support level. So we can't like even broke the 100. So that could actually be, more selling back down. If we stay below that 100, we could actually go to like 80 to 60. Alright, it's actually good to make sure you protect your profits and get out or take profits at those resistance level as well. You don't want to like just hold it all the way back down and like from making profits, and now you're like back to square one or maybe even making a loss. Alright, so this is like Cloudflare, right? So quite a parabolic move here. We have seen a couple of good breakouts, but make sure as you ride the breakout, it's a bit more of an aggressive move. Make sure you take steps to protect your profits as prices were to go higher. And you can do that by kind of like raising your stop loss upwards as well. Alright, trails the prices, raise your stop loss upwards so that if it does break a certain support level, maybe if it to break that 180, you can think about getting out here. If you got in around here, you get out around here, you still make money, of course not as much as you wanted. And if you to sell right at the top. So people always like to maybe think like you can like time your entry and sell right at the top, but it isn't always the case because we will never know when it's top. Because now we know like 220 is the top, right? But at the point in time, when it was like around here, we probably wouldn't know. But you can see that a little bit of resistance has came out. So when it does hit to that level and came down again, that is where it could be a resistance, whereby if it does hit back there again to 220, 210, you could actually sell, right? Or maybe sell around that. It's very, very hard to sell right at the top at like 220, but if we sell somewhere at the top, I think that is good enough. And that's where you could actually lock in some really good profits. And of course, if it does break that support here, you want to take steps to get out as well in case it were to retrace all the way back down like what we saw. Okay, so let's look at some live case studies. So this stock here right here is Microsoft, right, back in like 2020, 2021. All right, and you can see that it has been like pretty much coming down. All right, we saw like a sell down due to COVID. All right, kind of traded down, and it was like a bit of a resistance right here. You can see this was the resistance around the 190 or maybe even the 200 level right here. So there was a bit of a resistance. You can see right here, maybe about 190 came down. But we approached this level, which is about 200. So that would be something like a psychological resistance as well. All right, whereby it kind of like, attempts to break higher. And eventually you can see we kind of broke this resistance level. So that could be kind of like a breakout move as well, if we were to break above some of those psychological level. All right, so like the 100, the 200, the $1, $10, these are pretty much psychological level as well. And especially if we have like touched that level many times and came back down, right? So in this case, you can see that we could kind of like attempted, just somewhere around here, we came down, but we approached this 190, 200 and started to attempt to break it. And eventually, yes, we did break it. And so that could be like what we call a breakout as well, right? This could be a very, very simple breakout move as we attempt to push and break higher. All right, and yeah, eventually we broke it, and you can see that what happens is this resistance level kind of like became the support level right here. So this 200, as I say, was a little bit of a psychological resistance level. So we kind of broke up, and it is healthy, whereby we could see a little bit of a consolidation here, right? So it's a good thing whereby we didn't like this started to push up all the way. It could be like a good consolidation here, whereby it's push up, we trace back down, went up, we trace back down, went up, this is what we call like a healthy consolidation, right? So it didn't like just pop and went up all the way. It could be quite dangerous as well, right? So it's kind of like push up, consolidate, and as it consolidate, it could actually be a good opportunity as well to get in near like the new higher support level at about 200. You can see buyers starting to come back up again as we rebounded several times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times rebounded. All right, and as it consolidates, you can see that is where we actually have another resistance level that's formed up, right? It's about the $230, right? So that is like the healthy consolidation from like 200 to 230. It was like moving up and down for like 6 to 7 months, all right? And as it approached this resistance, came down about 4 times, right? So that is like a resistance level. So we break that 230, right? We break that 230 level right here. You can see that could be kind of like a good breakout move as well, right here as it breaks. All right, of course, we're going to see like some good volume as well. You can see pretty much quite a strong volume here as well, maybe about 1.5 to 2 times as it breaks this level right here. All right, so it could be a good breakout, but unfortunately, you can see we went up a little bit from like 230 to about 245. All right, let me just see how many percent. It could be a little bit of like more than 6 to 7%, and it started to retrace back down again. As it retrace back down, you can see that we are back to this support level, right? So it's like the resistance turns support, and it could actually be a good opportunity to get in again, all right, near that support level, the new higher support level, right? So a breakout move would be a little bit more, I would say, aggressive. You're like more like a beginner, would kind of like kind of like recommend that you kind of get in near like some of those support level or any pullbacks. I think that would be kind of like a better entry in terms of the reward, all right, whereby there's a much higher upside. Of course, when you see a breakout, sometimes you can just really push up, but it's a more aggressive trade. If it really plays out good, and that's where you can see huge profits, but sometimes we might see a little bit of a retracements as well, right? So this is what we call like an uptrending stock, right? Whereby you can see prices has been just pushing higher and higher as it consolidates, and we can in fact also draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line right here. You can see, you can just go ahead to remove all these lines. So we can also draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line. You can see right here. So that's what we call a healthy uptrend. All right, healthy uptrend. As it pulls back, we can think about getting in at those support levels that I talk about, or if you want to take a breakout trade, that's okay as well. But wait for it to really break that level, all right, and make sure you protect your profits as you were to push higher as well. For example, look at this right here. Let me just go to draw this for you. This is like another horizontal line. You can see a little bit of a resistance here. So this is something like I talk about an ascending triangle pattern. Of course, we can kind of like look at it a little bit near term. Look at this right here. So it's something like an ascending triangle pattern. Look at this, right? It's kind of like consolidates higher. We form higher lows, and as it consolidates, we form a little bit of a resistance right here at about the 260, 265 level. And as it consolidates right here, you can see we attempted to break this resistance level at 260, and that's very good, right? Quite a good breakout move right here. You can see in terms of the volume, right? Okay, volume is maybe about 1.2, 1.3 times, right? Not the best, right? But we did manage to break this level. So that's a really a good breakout move as well. You can see started to push up by more than, I would say, 20%. Right, so that is where we have seen a good breakout move, right? So yeah, it could become like a good move whereby it really started to play out, and as it moves up, what you want to do is to protect your profits, all right, by raising your stop loss as well, raising your stop loss upwards, all right, as it kind of like trails prices. So in any case, if you'd like to pull back, you can think about getting out as well, just to lock in your profits and just take and put it in your pocket, right? So that is like quite a good breakout here as well. Okay, so let me just move on and see whether there will any consolidation as it breaks out and push higher. All right, so we're going to see like healthy consolidation, which is what is happening, right? So you can see we kind of like push out, and then we started to see a little bit of a consolidation. Of course, we did break down a little bit right here, and we approached this 100 days moving average and started to see a rebound. So it's a bit of a consolidation from like maybe about 280 to like about 300, a couple of like I would say 3-4 months, which is a good thing. Look at this right here. This is a bit of a consolidation, right? As it consolidates, and eventually you can see we attempted to break that 300, 305, and we went up to the next upside all the way, I think, back to the 350, right? And started to see a little bit of consolidation again. We can go ahead to draw another line right here. This is like something like a support, right? So you got to push up, you can see as it breaks out right here. So that is another breakout again, right here, somewhere around the 305, 300. We kind of attempted to break it, held above for a few days, and pump, eventually started to push up. And yeah, so it's good that, this is a good breakout move as well, right? As I say, it's a healthy consolidation. It was like, consolidating, breaks out, consolidate, and now it breaks out again. So that could be a really good breakout move to catch as well, as it started to push higher. So as I say, right, as it push higher, it's good to take steps to protect your profits, or especially if it hits to certain resistance level. In this case, we went to around the 350, and that was like another consolidation. Like you see, came down, rebounded, came down, rebounded. So around that 340 to 350, you can see that that is where sellers actually came back to kind of like take some profit. So you could also kind of like, as it rebounds again, if you did not get out here, you could actually kind of get out as it approaches this level. This is what we call the selling zone, all right, whereby sellers can actually come back again to take some profit, because we have came down like 3 or 4 times from this level. So as you approach it, you can think about getting out again, all right, maybe wait for a pullback. All right, so let's see where we are right now. I mean, since we are talking about this stock, you can see that the support level, right? So this support level, you can see we rebounded. That's about the 320 level, right? But it seems like the market is a bit weak over the past few days. We broke this 320, seeing a little bit of a sell down below the 320. So there could actually be some short-term downside right here. Let me just quickly remove this. So a bit of short-term downside, maybe back to the $300 psychological level. You can see we are currently about 301. I would say a better support maybe from like 290 right here. Since we're looking at this, so you can see this is where the 200 days moving average line is as well. So quite a good gentle uptrend, I would say. The rates, a blue line, they're both pointing up. So we can think about buying stocks like this, not just a breakout, but also, as I say, on dips as it were to approach like some good support levels, like in this case the 300 or maybe even 290. I think these are pretty much where if it kind of like hits towards that level, it stabilizes, we see some good bullish candles, some good bullish reversal candles especially, that is where we can potentially see a good rebound whereby you can catch it as well. So not really a breakout move, but as I say, a little bit less aggressive than a breakout. All right, in an uptrend, you can think about getting in at some of those good support levels, and that's one of those as well that you can take besides a breakout, right? So it might actually hit down and you can actually break that 300, and as it breaks that 300, we might go to like 290. So you can consolidate, as I say, from like 290, all right, to about that 300. So like 290 to 300 might go up and down, and eventually, all right, if it breaks out, so that could be like a minor or a mini breakout as well, as it consolidates lower at the support level. And if we break that 300 level again, yes, then that could potentially be a good sign of that reversal happening. All right, as it breaks that 300, that's where buyers are pretty much prepared to see that reversal come through. Or it might actually just consolidate here as well, right? Maybe right now at 300, that could actually be a support. It might consolidate from like 300 to 320. You can just move like up, down, up, down, up, down here, and eventually we have formed a little bit of a resistance, right? So this 320 can become like a resistance level, and yes, if we break that 320 like a mini resistance level, then it could actually lead the reversal back up again all the way to like 350, right? So that's what we call a breakout as well, as it consolidates a bit lower, all right, because it kind of broke down, consolidate lower, and it does break that near-term resistance. That is where more upside can happen in terms of like a reversal back to that previous high, or that higher resistance level again. Okay, so let's take a look at Tesla. I think we have seen quite a good breakout move here as well, somewhere around 2020, all right, end of the year in 2020. You can see that we can draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line, right? And pretty much a very strong uptrend. You can see the green line is the 20-day short-term moving average. The red and the blue line are all pointing up right here. So it's very strong uptrend, all right, as we consolidated higher. You can see that we formed higher lows. Buyers kind of like came back and we are willing to buy at higher prices. Came down, back down again, all right. You can see buyers came up, came back down, buyers came up. Eventually right over here, buyers came up again as we went down a little bit, and this was like what we call a breakout at this 500 level right here. So very strong psychological resistance level as well. We place a little bit more weight on it. If it's like the 100, the 1000, the 500 whole numbers, that is where we place a little bit more weight to it. If it is also like a resistance level that many times we have neared it and came back down. So you can see, right, we came down, and many times we kind of like neared that level, but eventually we broke this 500, and you can see that is quite a good breakout move as well. All right, something like the ascending triangle pattern that I talk about right here. So it could be a really good entry, and that's where we saw the move happen, right, from like 500 all the way up to maybe about the 800 to 900 level, whereby we started to see a little bit of profit taking. So like more than 60-70% upside in a couple of like 2 or 3 months. All right, so that's quite a good breakout move, right? And yes, I mean, it could be a good entry right here as well. Okay, but when we write the breakout, just take note that anytime we could actually see a retracement back down as well. And so best if you can see a good support being found, not just moving up every single month for the past like 6 months. No, all right, maybe like moves up like a few weeks to a month, and we can see a little bit of consolidation. This is what actually is happening, right? You can see we went up and we were actually consolidating for like 3 weeks to a month here, just above 600. You can see we can in fact draw another like a line right here as well. You can see this is a little bit of a consolidation right here. You can see it consolidates here. All right, here as well, from like, yeah, it was like pretty much consolidating from like 600 to 700, up, down. Eventually, yes, it broke that 700 and it started to push higher. So it's not like really moving up every single day, like what we call a parabolic move, like each candle is just moving up and up and up. It's like higher highs every single day. I'll show you guys later what it means, but that's really dangerous. But you can see we started to consolidate here as it pushed higher, so that is healthy as well. And we started to push to around that 800, 900, and you can see eventually we broke this support level at about 800, and the selling actually happened again. All right, so this is quite a good breakdown, right? So let's just take a look and see if we can spot another one right here. All right, so yeah, I think you can see that this was a little bit of resistance about that 800 level. You can see this is like a kind of like a sideways movement. All right, sideways movement from about 500 to 800. You can see we can retrace back down, up, down for, I would say, 8 to 10 months, and eventually look at this right here, we broke this 800 level, right? This 800 resistance level somewhere around here. So So this could be quite a good breakout move as well, especially if the trend is up. And in fact, we can also, at a point in time, we can also draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line. So as it approaches, it's quite a good uptrend, approaches this 800. We broke around here. You can see, maybe let's take a look at the volume around here as well. You can see quite a strong volume, right? More than 2 times here as it broke up. And I think we even broke that 900. This was the resistance at about 900. We kind of broke the 900. And you can see it started to rally all the way up to like about 1002, and then now we are seeing some sideways consolidation as well, right? Maybe quite a huge range, right? From maybe about 900 to about 1002, right? Which is healthy, right? Which is healthy. As I said, we don't want to just see it move up every day. We just want to see it like pushes up. It could be a good opportunity to take some profit as well near that 1002, 1001. As it consolidates, as I said, this is what we call like a sell zone, right? Whereby sellers can actually come back. So it's possible to take some profit, lock in some gains as well if you have like caught the breakout, and wait for a pullback, or maybe near the 900 to 1000 as we consolidate again. So you can see this is pretty much where this support is, about 900 to 1000, and this is like the new support zone, right? Maybe all the way from 900 to 1000 as we consolidate. You can see right here. So this is like the sideways consolidate from 900 to about that 1002. All right, maybe a bit slightly higher. 1000 might be a temporary support as well. It could be a good entry if it dips to a certain support level. All right, to kind of like get in to catch the rebound, right? So that is not really a breakout. It's more like to get in on dips at those good support in an uptrend, because it's pretty much still an uptrend in the longer term. Look at this. This is where the 100 days moving average line is. The 200 days moving average line is here as well, pointing up. So longer term, it still looks okay, right? And that's where you can think about getting in, right? And if it does break out, right? So where would be like the breakout move? Yes, so if it does break like the 1002, right? The 1002. So right now you can see we are pretty far away, but it might consolidate here in a bit. All right, maybe forming higher lows eventually. In fact, if you can draw like an upward sloping channel support line right here, so you might consolidate. You can see up, down, up, down, up, down, eventually like an ascending triangle, and eventually, of course, we don't know whether it will happen, right? But if we do see like a pattern like this and it approaches 1002, and eventually it breaks that 1002, maybe somewhere around here, ascending triangle pattern being formed, higher lows, then it could be a good breakout move, whereby you might see the move above 1002 to 1003, 1005, and that is where the upside and the uptrend can continue even further if it does actually breaks out. Okay guys, so there we have it. We have pretty much covered what is a breakout, alright? How do we avoid false breakout? How do we time our breakout to get in the same direction as a trend, and what is a healthy breakout, what is a good healthy consolidation as we break out as well. That is what we have covered. So I hope you have gotten kind of like a good idea of what is a breakout in this very video. What are things not to do, not to chase a parabolic move, stock which has gone up very, very high, and definitely not to chase that. Alright, and yeah, I hope you like this video, right? And if you do, right guys, I would appreciate if you can give me a thumbs up. It would definitely help out the channel, alright, and of course smash the subscribe button as well. It would definitely help out as well, right? So Joey here. I hope you have liked this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to here, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Go ahead to comment below what are your thoughts on this video, right? In terms of breakout, right? In terms of some of the case studies you have shared as well. Whether you have learned anything, let me know what's your biggest takeaway in the comments below, right? Thank you so much for watching. Joey here. I'll see you soon.